set on this? Just go in the order that they were.
I think I'm required on the motion.
All right.
All right, I'll make a motion to keep the order of the articles the way we discussed.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further? Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
No.
Ken?
Yes.
Yes. All right. The next item is tax title custodian.
Chairman, I think that we've all agreed that the town does not need to be a property owner. We have 5 parcels of foreclosed property, not paying taxes. And I'm recommending the appointment of Holly Young as tax title custodian. There is a process that's required for the town to auction these properties. What we know about them is that there's only one that is potentially buildable. It's likely that the other 4 would be bought by abutters. But nevertheless, we'll get some revenue from it, and they'll be restored to some extent to the tax, they'll be restored to the tax rolls, and there really isn't any reason for the town to continue being the owner of these properties. This does not include 252 Baldwinville Road, and as the board knows, there's another initiative underway with that. And I heard from the individual who would like to do a lease today, and we talked about getting together this weekend, so.
Excuse me.
There's a long story there, I'll tell you the story. He's in Florida, so. But anyway, we have another process that has to get underway quickly to determine what the conditions would be for the town to lease that property, if that's the consensus of the Board of Selectmen. And what we're looking for in terms of revenue from that lease, and if we can get that done, we would have April, May, June presumably when we might be able to put this property under a lease. I would assume he would want 3 years, and we need to come up with a number, so. But anyway, there's a process, fairly bureaucratic, that's required for the town to auction the other properties. It's not that complicated, but it is time-consuming. We must notify abutters. We have to take a number of other steps to notify the public that we're going to dispose of the properties at an auction. You then need to conduct the auction probably in here. You need to also provide other information to potential bidders about the properties. So there's work to be done. And I've talked to Holly about it. I think she would be able to do that job and get us on the track to conduct an auction. It is the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen to appoint a tax title custodian.
I'll make a motion to appoint Holly Young as tax title custodian.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I just have a couple of questions, I'm sorry. Holly, you're a wonderful assistant in all the things that you do. So if we have to have this done by, before the 31st, correct? It has to all be
No.
not done by then?
No.
Could you just clarify that for me?
Well, if we were to get it done by the 31st, I think, given the long process that's required, we're not going to get
Yeah.
a sale of these properties done by the end of this month. It's going to take several months. However, the revenue that comes in will be counted as free cash in 2015.
Okay. Will you have to give up any part of your job to be able to do this, or is this in addition to?
No, I think
It's already sort of part of my job. I've done research on properties, and when I put them out to bid, it's similar work to that. I can handle it.
It's normally the case that the treasurer of the town is appointed tax title, but the treasurer has her hands full right now, so.
I'm all set.
All right. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. All right. Discuss contacting the IG's office to borrowing for the wind turbine without a town meeting vote. This was brought forth by selectmen, I think a couple meetings ago.
I asked to have this put on the agenda. We received a letter from Gerard Perry regarding, let me see what's wrong. The water department being included under 164. Within that letter, I believe the third paragraph, let me get it. With respect to fiscal matters generally under General Law, Chapter 164, light plants are not separate legal entities and need approval of their municipalities' legislative bodies to borrow. What I would like the Inspector General to look at, I did some background research and I have the emails here from Carol Harris. The borrowing for the wind turbine, there is no record on the town clerk that it was ever went to town meeting. I'm not sure if it needed to, but I would like the Inspector General to look at this. And in the letter that we received from the Inspector General, I believe if we had any specific concerns, they would be willing to look at it.
Yes, John?
Yeah, as far as it not being a town vote for the wind turbine, I'm gonna try and simplify the structure of the light plant real quick. People elect the light and water commissioners, just like they elect selectmen and school committee and everything else. So, just to say that there was never a town vote to borrow for a portion of the money to do the wind turbine is just not true. So I don't understand this investigation. I just don't see the need for it. I mean, maybe she could contact Julie Farrell. I think she was on the board for 3 years. She may have some insight into the situation. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, 3 years went by. These questions could have been asked and answered a million times. I just don't understand why. What does this IG inspection have to do with? What does the board of selectmen hope to gain from this investigation?
What I would like to gain from the investigation.
I'm not asking what you would like to gain. I'm asking what the board of selectmen hopes to gain.
As a member of the Board of Selectmen, through the chair, may I speak?
Yes.
Thank you. As a member of the Board of Selectmen and a former member of the Light and Water Commissioners, as a commissioner, we were told that this did not have to go out for town meeting vote, that the borrowing and the funding for the wind turbine did not have to go out to town meeting vote. Now I've got a letter from Gerard Perry saying that borrowing needs to be done with the approval of the municipalities. I did not have that when I was a Light and Water Commissioner. Did not have that information. Now that information has come to light, and I want to make sure that the borrowing was done correctly for the $3.8 million for the wind turbine.
We never borrowed $3.8 million, first of all, so.
I've got the records.
We never borrowed
at
$3.8
home.
John?
Through you, Chairman, to Julie, okay? I was the one that did borrowing, okay, through the co-op, which is formed under Chapter 164, Section 47C. If you want to read through it, I tell you, that gives the light department the right to borrow the money for the wind turbine, Julie. That gives them the right to borrow in debt, sell, lease, whatever they need to do to operate without the permission from the town, so that the towns who are in the fiscal mess that we're in right now don't take their woes and throw them onto the light department. They can remain separate from the towns, and they don't use the town's light monies to fund the towns. That's what these things are put in place for. Chapter 164 covers all that. You're looking 47C, voted in September for the Templeton Light and Water Department to join the cooperative with Princeton. And then, I believe it was the following September, gave me permission as a member of that board, and I believe it was Greg Edwards also, to become members of that board and to sign documents necessary to finance the turbine. Let me finish, please, because this is the healing process, remember? Okay, $2.1 million of that was a Krebs fund. It's a bond. It's a clean renewable energy bond. 2.116, if I remember correctly, was 2%. Actually, it's a 0% loan. It's the best I could do is 0%. When you go to finance, the banks charge you 2% on top of your money. So the loan is 2%, the bond is 0%, but the banks charge you 2%. So yes, we borrowed $2.1 million for 2%. Don't see the town do much with that. $400,000 of that was a LORI grant, Large On-Site Renewable Initiative grant, if I remember the word correctly. That was free, $400,000 grant for part of the process. The remaining $993,000 was borrowed. At that time, in 2008, I believe we borrowed it for 5%. Through bond counsel. When she was talking about how bond counsel writes things, it's specific. They read all this, we presented 164, we presented 47C, we presented documents, and bond counsel accepted them, financed the $1 million. There's your bond that you're borrowing for your wind turbine. So your Krebs bond, 2.1, 400,000 grant, and 1 million for your thing. If your idea was to get this on the agenda, to get me here, to piss me off, it worked. Because to get this off the agenda, it's ridiculous. But move the town forward, worry about the finances, not the light and water department. This is getting, you guys stop drinking our Kool-Aid. This is getting ridiculous.
I would say, I wouldn't put it in those words, but I mean, the fact that we are, what is the resolution here? So, you said yourself that you were advised that you did not need to go to town vote to do this. As we all know, if council tells you as a municipality that you don't have to do something and you act under their authority and under their protection, then you can't be held responsible as long as you explain the situation to them. They advised you, because people, a lot of these obviously are run by volunteers, and the goal is not to punish volunteers for standing up. Now, I don't know why anyone would do it, but to stand up and to take abuse from the community is that at least they have the cover that they don't have to understand these complicated laws. So if council said that you did not need to go to town vote, there is nothing that's going to happen here. What would be the resolution? So the inspector general says, oh no, that was a mistake. So I guess you can sue the attorney for malpractice, I guess, and pursue that expense. Should we take the wind turbine down? Is that what the goal is? If the process is to heal, discussing something that happened years ago while our budget is sinking, we are obsessed with the school committee and with the light and water, while our town is sinking and we are 3 weeks away from receivership. This is ridiculous. How come the receivership that we've been threatened with isn't on the agenda? But this is on the agenda. It absolutely makes no sense, and I don't know how people can say with a straight face that this is for any other reason but to some kind of vendetta, or it's insanity. It really is insanity.
Are you requesting receivership on the agenda?
Well, I would have thought when the DOR threatened us with that, and we got notice of that, that it would have been on the agenda. That at the end of this month, they're going to pursue special legislation to take, so this board doesn't have any power then. The state will run it. And that was not on the agenda. Nope, so that's fine. But this is more important than that. We'll have lots of time to worry about light and water when the state's running us. That's fine.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
see, this goes back to the suggested diagram that I said in the beginning. We have the central financial problem within the town. I mentioned 3 circles. One of them was L for light. Was so damn concerned with the light department and the water department and the sewer department, and our focus are on them, of the $508,000, $505,000. We're more concerned about that wind. This is our problem. Call it politics if you want or not. I really don't care. And I would love, people didn't answer my question, and I prayed that I was wrong. I can't find, for example, any vote for this sum of money to be transferred from the betterment to try and get the figure down to 505,000. We don't seem to be concerned about that, but we're concerned about
We have 2 points.
Can I-
creating this political mess.
Yes.
What my goal is to try to protect the town. I believe there's a liability on the town. That's my goal, okay? It's to protect the town, because there's lots of liability out there. You were saying there was no record of a vote for the betterments. There's no record of a vote for the borrowing. There's no record of a town meeting vote to join the MMLD WECC. There's no votes on record by the town to
Through
take
the
on
chair.
that liability. That's what I'm trying to convey, that I believe that there exists a liability on the town that can come back and haunt us, the same way the deficit that we've been doing with free cash and not following all the rules correctly has come back to haunt us. That is my goal. You can attribute it to a vendetta, whatever you want. I really believe that a liability exists. That's why I wouldn't vote to sign a contract for the architectural services for the elementary school, because I really don't believe that that money is there. And that opens the town up for a liability. If you sign a contract and you don't have the money for it, the town is on the hook. And then the hole gets deeper than the $505,000. That's the kind of thought process that I use, whether it's for the school, whether it's for light and water, or whether it's for the town. That's the process behind, and that is my motivation. You can characterize me, you can, whatever you want to do, but that's my motivation, and it's coming out of my mouth, okay? And you don't get to put words in my mouth. No one does.
Wilfred, did you have something? No, yes?
Well, she speaks for herself and I speak for myself. The difference is I speak as an individual, I represent myself. Members of the Board of Selectmen, when they speak, they represent 8,000 people. And there's one heck of a big difference.
Ken?
What I would say too, if the true belief is that there's liability out there, calling the Inspector General says, oh, here, Inspector General, we didn't do this correctly. Instead of light and water being on the hook, the town should be on the hook. Please come notice that we made a mistake and point out, if the liability doesn't go away if we did something incorrectly. If anything, the case against us is stronger, that there will be repercussions. It's like, and I'm not saying that anything should obviously be covered up, but again, what is the ultimate goal? So the Attorney General comes in and says, yes, this was done incorrectly. Please give them back the let's say $10 million, whatever figure it was, let's give them back $10 million. We don't have that to give them. So what is the ultimate goal? That's, I guess, if the Inspector General comes in and says, yes, this was done incorrectly, that loan was no good, give them back their money, then what do we do? I mean, the answer to that question will decide how I vote. Because if there's a good reason, let me know.
Jeff, let me answer that
Sean?
question. Yeah, Chapter 164, what it does, when we go out to loan, or light departments go out to loan, to borrow money, whatever, we don't pledge taxpayers. We don't, our loans are not on the tax levy. It's one of the reasons these are done this way, is to protect your tax levy. I go out and put up a $30 million substation, this town can't borrow any money because we locked up your tax, your thing. By forming these co-ops, we can now borrow using our tax levy. We pledge our ratepayers. We pledge that we'll raise the rates, whatever it takes to pay for these projects, whether it's a substation, a building. You lower the national grid, what do you want? What do you want? You lower the national grid right now, what do you want? Tell me, what do you want? Okay. Chapter 164, that's how they protect us, so you don't get the taxpayers.
But you still have to pay, no matter what we do.
Absolutely, but I can tell you, I know what Templeton is in the range of where Lake Department's operating. He's doing very well. Be thankful for one. Be thankful for what you have. All right? That's what it is, Jeff. That's the difference, Ken, to your point. So there is no liability in the town. It falls on the ratepayers.
So then if
Through commissioners.
So then what if the Inspector General says they did that incorrectly, then what happens?
Then I think we would take a vote to affirm what they did.
And what if they say
You have
no?
no say in
You have
it.
no say,
No
that's what I'm
purview
saying.
in
You
that
don't
at
have
all.
any say. It separates the town.
Have a vote
from the-
to join MMLD WECC, which the
You don't.
town
That's
never
not a
did.
town vote.
Commissioners had a vote. You elected the commissioners to run the light and water department. That's what they're doing. So, same, we elect you to run the town. They were elected to run the light and water department. That's right. That's what they were doing. And it was set up that way purposely
Right.
for these things to keep them separate, so they don't get into these situations.
Yes.
Just one last comment. So if a majority of, I mean, understanding how democracy works, if a majority of the people didn't like the way Light and Water was run, they would elect new commissioners. Just like if they don't like the way something in school committee's done, you elect new school. If you don't like the way something up here is done, you elect new selectmen member. I mean, right, I mean, that's, I don't understand what disconnect I am getting here, where if people were not happy with the way things were done at Light and Water, run candidates that will get on Light and Water, and then that's the problem. So to say that the townspeople are upset with this or upset with that, they don't show it at the ballot box. So that's why I don't see why I should then take what little authority I have and then try to cast that net out farther to pull in Light and Water when the taxpayers and voters of Templeton have elected not to do that. I am not better than anyone else in this town, and I'm not going to say that I should, well, you elected me to run the select board, but I'm also going to run Light and Water. If you want me to run Light and Water, elect me to Light and Water, which I will not be running for, but, you know.
It's just, I've been hearing about, I haven't been to the meetings, obviously, for the last few years, but I've been hearing about it, I'm hearing about this, and, putting it to bed. It was financed, it was built, it was done, it's running well. I put a 15.4-year payback on that project, because the recs are higher than where they're down to a 12. I mean, it's actually dropped 3 years. And for a public project that's gonna last 25, 30 years, it's pretty good. On your peak days, when it's running at about 800 kilowatts, you're saving money there. Is it absolutely perfect? Does it run perfect? No. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it hasn't. I mean, like every other machine, I got solar projects that don't run perfect when they're covered with snow. But, the project was done with a lot of hard work. That credit bond I was telling you, it was a 72-page application. We had Kerry's office, Kennedy's office, the governor's office, we had Oliver's office, all backing these projects to get that thing, hand-carried in to get that money in Washington, 0% loan. That doesn't just happen. That's a lot of work that came in front of this board. I went in front of the planning board, the conservation board, every board in this town I was in front of. The school committee, and John in front of the school committee, showed them that application, that if it takes a lot of work, 2 months to build this thing. But, yeah, I mean, then they find out when I leave town that we want to attack. That's why I came here tonight to say, you want to attack? Here I am. What are your questions? I'll answer every one of them. And you got my phone number, give me a call.
Okay,
47C answers all your questions, read it. And you wouldn't pick up the phone, call the IG's office, I'll bet you.
How much energy we get from that thing?
John will probably tell you exactly. What do you kilowatt hours?
It varies, anywhere from $1 million to $1.5 million, hopefully $2 million sometime, depends on the wind.
Don't run half the time I see the wind blowing.
Doesn't run 75% of the time, more than half the time. We only have a calculator, it's gonna be about a 22% capacity factor. That means 78% of the time, it's not gonna be moving. We took that all into consideration from day one in the payback analysis. Day one. This turbine performance is not surprising anybody at the light department. This is exactly what we thought it would do, except for the unplanned outages because something broke, which happens. But there's no surprises here. See, my issue is the light department's given about $122,000 a year for the last 10 years on average to a pilot for the town. This is why I really need to know if this is a consensus of the board of selectmen or not. I have a meeting tomorrow where the board was supposed to be discussing a pilot. What am I supposed to tell them? Well, I don't know. We're being investigated again. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And combine that with the sometimes abysmal level of service that we've gotten out of this office in the last year, here and there. I mean, there's just no good news. There's no way to spin this for me tomorrow night. And I'm not, you know what, I'm not gonna spin it. I'm gonna say, here's what it is. We didn't have a very good year. We barely made a 0.7% return on plant. That's abysmal. And tomorrow I'm talking about a pilot. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. Well, what am I supposed to tell them? Well, hold off on that pilot vote because we may be investigated again. See, investigations doesn't cost her any money. But if it comes to anything, even if I know this is never going to amount to anything, that doesn't mean I can sit back and not research anything. If I need to hire a consultant, I do it. If I need to hire an attorney, I'm not an attorney. I'm an electrical engineer. I'm going to hire who I need to help us with a situation, no matter what it is. And this is what we have to. This is what we've been doing. We've spent thousands of dollars of rate-paying money for light and water over nonsense over the last 3 years. Open meeting law complaints, records requests, just accusations every meeting that we're breaking the law. It's ridiculous. You know, don't understand why this is necessary. These state agencies have better things to do than look into something that's clear cut. You're an attorney. You'd research this for about an hour and a half and be like, there's nothing here.
I could stretch it out a little.
Went too far.
I'm honest, at least, yeah.
They used it out. What
So you do pay the bill.
Well, no. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just make one, and I promise I won't say one more word the rest of the meeting until selectmen comments at the end. But I just want to make this clear. I know, again, I find myself apologizing for myself a lot at these meetings. It's amazing things you can learn about yourself when you're kind of up in front of people, kind of costing you, not costing you, but you know what I mean. I appear agitated and irritable. I think that, though, my opinion, I have never worked for Light and Water. They don't pay me a penny. I don't even have water. I have a well. I do pay my light bill, obviously. That's the only connection I have. So I have no reason. They don't give me anything. I don't have some coffers that I have no reason to stand up for Light and Water. Other than just what I think makes sense. And for me, just like if there is something that Light and Water is doing wrong, I have no problem. I supported at the last year's annual town meeting that whole debate where our lawyer said one thing and your lawyer said another thing, and I stood and acted pretty much as the spokesperson for the Board of Selectmen during that time period, saying, no, I think we need to have an answer for this. I think we need to have an answer for this. So it's not that I'm just going to run and defend them the way I will the school. Now, I'm not going to run and defend them no matter what. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that I am wasting your time by speaking to you right now over something that has no... Elections are literally in 2 months, less than 2 months. If you can still take out papers, if you want to be a Light and Water commissioner, or you want to support someone that will change things at Light and Water, more power to you, but that is Light and Water's issue. It is Light and... Just like if they had meetings and they wanted to put us under investigation or under review, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
Yes, Doug.
I'll read this 16447C just so I do have a better understanding. I look at it as, we're not going to take down the turbine. We're not going to try to, imprison or sue the commissioners for what they've done. I'm hoping after I read this, I'm 100% convinced that it was all legal and fine. So I would suggest that we just, kind of set this aside. We all get the opportunity to read this. If we want to revisit it at some point, then we revisit it. But with the information that we have at the current moment, I think we have to wait.
You want to do the lease? Bob, do you have the information on the lease? Did Mr. Pirro, did he call today or something?
Yes. Not about, no, I don't have any information on the lease for this building, other than there was a communication from the landlord that he wants a 3-year lease.
Okay.
And that the price is going to go up. Didn't give us a figure as to where it's going to go, but he said there'll be a price increase, and he wants, it's very clear that he wants a 3-year lease. The other, Pirro, is the man who has an interest in leasing 252 Baltimore Road.
And that was that's what he stated, the landlord stated his intent last year when he signed, I think it was a 3rd extension.
Right. The 1-year 3rd extension, yeah.
His message was, when are we going to hear back from you? He apparently communicated something at the beginning of the year, and now is looking to close a deal for next fiscal year, or find out what the town intends to do, I guess.
Yeah, I think he wanted to start to talk in February, but
Right.
He's not in town.
Jeffrey,
Yes,
why wasn't that on the special meeting about using the East Templeton School if you're gonna use community prevention money? Why isn't that on there to start that building? And now you got a year or so to go.
Yeah, if I can.
Yes.
Yep. We just got confirmation at the CPC meeting on Thursday that they're gonna support the request. We could have included it in this special town meeting and probably might have been a good idea.
Why do you keep waiting to keep postponing it off and
Yeah,
on?
yeah, you're right. So it will definitely be on the annual town
And
meeting.
the annual, so you're 3 months.
But again, we can get,
This guy wants to kick you out here at the end of the month. May, that's the way Ritter was
At the
talking,
end
the
of
guy's gonna
June.
get rid of you.
no, we have a lease till June 30th.
June 30th, they're
Correct.
gonna be
We
ready
don't
by
have to
June
have,
30th?
we don't have to have a boiler in East Templeton on July 1st,
Boiler
because
still
we're not
works.
gonna be running the heat on July
The boiler
1st.
still works.
Yeah.
No? Barry Moss said it worked. Doesn't vary.
I talked to him, he understands.
all right, we're gonna try to have a town hall type meeting, at least one before the special. Try to get them at, I think at the Kiva. And get them recorded and try to attempt to have them played throughout the day instead of the regular, the tape schedule that they have, like on Sundays, the Board of Selectmen's at 8 o'clock at night, and then the school committees have like a loop type thing, show it over and over and over again. Oh no, did we receive?
Yeah, I got dates. 22nd wasn't good. So for the 15th, I reserved that for 10 a.m. I can cancel it if I don't want to do it, but. And then Thursday the 13th and Thursday the 20th at 7. Didn't know how many you wanted to do. But those were some dates that I got that I already reserved, so they're holding it.
Should we do just one and have it recorded? Or do we want to have multiples?
I'm sorry, can't hear it. I can't hear you today, Julie, so.
Sorry.
If you could.
Multiple or just one?
Well, my suggestion was gonna be is that they're having a community meeting on the 22nd for the biomass and the building. Why would we not piggyback that? And they do 1, 2, and then there's us. I mean, people will be there. If it's like from 10 to 11, and then it was supposed to be from like 11, only like hour long, they're not even long meetings. It's just, to give information. I mean, that would just be one date, and it's on a Saturday, so that hopefully more residents could come. And if they knew when we were gonna be on, if they only wanted to come to that and not to the other things, then that would be fine. But I would, it'd be a good way to consolidate everything. And they're already, I forget where they were gonna do it, don't quote me on that, but I have it written down in here. So that's just one date, but, I mean, if you can't be there, then
I have
that's
that,
not gonna,
that week.
oh, that's
week
right.
vacation,
So that's fine.
22nd to 29th, I'm coming back for the 29th, leaving on the 22nd.
So any other, I mean,
I can have,
maybe
I can have
if
the
we did it before that, we
information.
could just run the movie. We could just run a movie for that time period, and just a few of us could answer questions, or, not, but if we would have already done one, then we could just say, well, by the way, we'll be here, whoever wants to come. I mean, if we, we could answer something or whatever. I mean, we could do something like that too. But I think, if we do something before that, then again, we could run a movie in the auditorium. But I'm fine with any other date. Whatever you all choose.
All right, what were the dates again? I'm sorry, Holly.
15th, which is coming Saturday.
Okay.
Thursday is coming Thursday the 13th.
Okay.
And next week, the 20th.
20th.
Are we even prepared to have something this Thursday? I mean,
No,
we,
but by the 20th, I think
do it
we
for
can
the-
have all
Yeah,
the
if
data.
we were to-
Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I have some definite suggestions for that, and I think that this Thursday is out of the question. We would just come off as not even, we're not even prepared.
Well, if you don't
Yeah.
have anything, there's no sense.
Well,
Even if you did the 20th, and then like you said,
we could
Yeah,
just run a
yeah,
movie on the
yeah.
22nd, I could certainly ask them
know.
about that, but the 20th, that's good. Right.
Yeah, so doing the 20th and then perhaps the 22nd, because I do think doing a Saturday is good, because you might get more people in on Saturday.
Yeah, I think they're at the Kiva for that.
I'll have to ask her.
That's what she said.
And again, I have it written down, but it was just to make sure that I didn't book anything in that time frame for my own appointments.
So we should book the 20th.
I think just doing the Thursday and running a movie would be fine, as long as, you know, whatever we do is on Channel 8, or we can, it gets uploaded to YouTube, or, you know, whatever, that would be fine. I think getting people to come to even more than one meeting is hard.
What time?
They have things to do.
7, I reserved it for 7, you can do earlier.
Yeah, it's at the Kiva.
Okay.
So I think that's what they're at.
20%.
But there's a projection screen in the Kiva also, that's what that's truly set up for, so media. So that wouldn't be a problem either.
So we're doing just the 20th? 7, or should I do 6:30?
What time again?
I put it for 7, but we can do 6:30.
I think 6:30 is better, my opinion. Babysitting? I would have to ask the school for
Yeah,
that.
I don't know what they do for that.
Well, they get the Honor Society to do that for, you know, their own events, and we had already talked about it for like town hall, you know, town meeting on a Saturday, so those things were kind of already set. I can ask if we would be able to have that so that more families can come. I'll talk to her tomorrow. And we would have hours in the Kiva also? Right, Holly, you reserved the Kiva for that?
Yeah. Okay.
And what, 6:30?
6:30.
Sounds like a Moroccan.
Oh, I could tell you a story about that one.
Okay, so Thursday, 20th, 6:30, Kiva. Saturday, 22nd, maybe?
I would have to ask first if we could piggyback them, like to just show a movie, you mean?
I don't understand what you mean by say show a movie. Show a movie of the recording of what we did?
Show the recording, whatever you want to call that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think that if some of us could be there to answer questions or have the handout, I hope that we're going to have a handout, then the people would already be there.
We can do information.
And they'll already have money on their minds.
Yep.
All right.
I'll have to make some phone calls.
Okay.
I'll do a draft for everything, pass it around to them.
Okay.
Tweak it.
All right, the last thing is personnel policy. I think it was brought up like to change, like they have,
You get a chance
town
to look at it?
coordinators.
I have, and I left all of it at home. Sorry, I have not sent you anything, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot it. I'm sorry.
All right,
10 o'clock besides.
put that on for the 24th.
The 24th, yep.
I mean, if we don't have the stuff. Did you have a question, Wilfred?
Yes. Back to your town hall meeting. Just a thought. It would seem to me, listening to the arrangement that we're gonna have at the special town meeting coming up after in March. As an individual, if I'm asked to come up with some money to pay for something, I really would like to know what I'm paying for. And it seems to me that if you've got people together and they ask questions like I asked at the beginning of the selectmen meeting this evening, that someone would be there or someone would be making a presentation to explain how or why they came up with the $505,000, because I would imagine when you go into your special town meeting, you eventually, unless a miracle happens, you're going to end up having to go for an override. And if I'm going to pay my share towards that override, I want to know why and how and what I'm really getting and why. And if you're going to have this town meeting, if you want to convince the people that they should vote for an override, that's the place, the only place where you're going to be able to do it. So I don't know who you have that would present a program, I'm not talking about movies, a program that you would present at that meeting and record so that you can show it on TV.
Right.
You need an individual that's going to stand up and explain these types of things. You gotta explain why you spent the ambulance money. You gotta explain why the levy isn't right. You have to explain the question of how come we're taking $192,000 from betterment so that the $505,000 isn't greater. If you want people to vote for an override, you gotta be able to answer those questions. So you need someone to present that information so it can be shown and then re-shown on the TV. And I haven't heard anyone, as you talked about this town hall meeting, I haven't heard anyone come up with those types of things. And I think you're gonna have to decide who that person is that's gonna do the talking for people. Or you have to also, in developing your program, you've got to decide, are we going to respond to a question or are we going to be upfront and tell the people why and how it happened? I don't know. But you're not willing to do it. You're not willing to answer how we're going to take $192,000 from betterment without a town vote to do it. If you're not willing to do it, I don't think, and I know for one, I will never vote for an override. I simply will not, regardless of how much I love this town, regardless of how much time I put into it. I will not vote for any override. If someone will not explain this $192,000, and if someone won't explain the $800,000 loan, forget it. You're not gonna get an override. And who in their right mind is willing to pay for something and you're not willing to tell them what they're paying for and why?
Right.
Thank you.
But it's not 505,000 no more.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
No, of course not. You knew that. You knew that when we went for an override of the, how much was it? Was it 620,000? You knew that then because you, in public, said that you didn't think it was enough money. You knew it. And then when we turned around and vote an override, and right after the override, all of a sudden we're short 505,000. Are we saying to the taxpayer that we didn't know we were short additional money?
I did not know it. I just felt, and I
Well, who
still
did?
feel, huh?
How did they just discover this so fast after the $620,000
Wilfred,
override?
that was my number that I picked out of the air, because I truly believe that's what we needed for an override, to fix a lot of things.
I don't know.
Can I just
get
speak to
your
his
picture
words?
on them.
Yes.
Mr. Dennis, I've had only been able to have brief conversations with Mr. Markle, and as you know, we cannot deliberate as a board, as I well know now, that it's not really a movie, I'm saying that wrong, that if we were to have an open town hall meeting, I have already said that we need to have literature, and I've said often, maybe not eloquently up here, you all want an answer why. We have to answer those questions. And that's when you asked last week, and I asked if I could give you that sheet, and we spoke after the meeting. I've been trying to do some of that homework, but they're so busy trying to get everything done so we can meet that deadline. But yes, people are gonna ask those questions, and we have to have the answers. And then that will be shown on TV over and over and over. So it's not really a movie, it's what gets, I watch them all on YouTube, because I don't watch TV, but it's just a matter of sitting down and really, you know, again, Mr. Markle's been really busy, and
Thank God we have
having,
them. Thank God we have someone that understands
Right.
certified free cash.
right,
Thank God.
right. To be able to say, what is our program gonna be the night of the 20th, and that we are prepared for that, but only he can kind of send all that out to all of
And
us.
answer those questions.
We have to be able to.
We're not gonna vote for an override.
Well, if we don't tell you why would you vote for that? You wouldn't.
All set? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second.
Can I just, on the 24th, can we do the VSO? Can we do the VSO on the 24th?
Oh, yes.
We've got information.
Yeah, is outline there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
If I just have a little report. From the budget subcommittee, the school budget was passed out of the subcommittee. There were 2 no votes, the rest were yes. There were no suggestions of any, like, line item to be cut. We held the first hearing, and there was not a single person came to the school committee budget hearing that wasn't either on the school committee, on the budget subcommittee, or a candidate for some kind of position. Not one citizen from either town came to either one of those, came to that hearing. So there's one more opportunity in a few weeks, in 2 weeks, to come out for another hearing, and this is the towns, people from both towns, their opportunity to voice any concerns or issues that they have with the school budget. That's the perfect time to do it. So,
Well, since we're doing comments, maybe.
Well, me.
I would like a Chevy. But we both have Chevys, I guess.
So if we're doing comments, I'll throw a little bit in about the CPC. They did on Tuesday vote in favor of our application for the preservation of East Templeton. I debated whether to ask them to submit the article for this special town meeting, but then decided against it. I just thought this special town meeting, we needed to focus on, you know, the town's problem and getting the 505 taken care of.
372.
Yes, 372 now. We have time, we'll have time at town meeting, you know, to deal with the East Templeton thing. Even if the CPC money doesn't pass, you know, we're still pursuing the waivers for the handicap accessibility. And the boiler, which would be the key thing that would have to be done, we have from July until September to get that done, which will be able to use the money out of the savings by not renting here if the CPC money doesn't pass. So I just felt that it wasn't really that critical to get it on to this special town meeting.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes?
Diane?
Did anybody second?
Yes.
Yes.
Did anybody
Yes,
second?
Diane.
Okay.
I did get that.
I did.
I turned my head once in a while when you were on my door, it's all bad.